Well, last week we were at what is now known as the world's fastest paperclip on the iRacing service. Well, today we go to the track that has been kicked down to the second step on the pedestal when it comes to fast paperclips. Welcome to Martinsville Speedway here in Virginia for the fourth race of the second season in 2021 for the iRacing Stock Car Association. I'm Nolan Rampo. Al Kozlowski will be joining me here momentarily, both on the track and up in the booth. It is bound to be a very, very thrilling 250-lap event as we get set to go racing under the lights. Time is currently 7:38 p.m. local time here in Virginia, so it is bound to be an incredibly exciting race here tonight. It's got a decent field size here too, considering how it's been the last couple of weeks. We got ourselves a solid 14, 15 cars in here today, meaning we could be in for a much more thrilling race than we were at the last short track race we were at. It also means that hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more battles and maybe even the occasional caution or two thrown into the works to mix things up as well. Kind of go over the weather conditions for tonight. 69 degrees Fahrenheit in the air, 72 degrees Fahrenheit down on the track. Winds blowing north of about 2 miles an hour. Only 41% of humidity in the air, though. So it is, it's thankfully going to be looking as though it will be a pretty calm day, which means it will be a fantastic night of racing here under the lights at the beautiful Martinsville Speedway, one of the oldest and most famous short tracks in the world when it comes to the stock car racing, especially in North America and at that NASCAR. One of the first tracks that NASCAR ever went to, and still a staple almost 100 years later. Less than a minute remaining in qualifying at the moment. You got Jeff Shutt on the pole, Gil Gox in second place. Points leader Clinton Hoffman sits in third to round out the top three so far in qualifying with just half a minute remaining. It is bound to be an incredibly thrilling race here tonight.
Knowing this is gonna be a race. I wish I was one of those fans sitting up in the stands tonight, because this is gonna be one to watch. Historically, all week long on the A Opens and even the NIS Russ, this has been a caution wreck fest. And I'm hoping tonight it will be not like that, because we have 250 laps. And if this is a wreck fest like it was in NIS last night, in 250 laps, we had 30 cautions. It's going to be a long night. I'm going to start in the middle of this field and just kind of play it safe and just let people buy as they want by, because this is a racetrack that you don't really use up your tires. So people can get loose on impulse reactions, and I want to be there to capitalize on that and be there in the end.
Qualifying is over. Let's take a swing on over now to the national anthem.
Drivers, start your engines!
The national anthem has been sang, and the Grand Marshal has given the famous starting words. It's time to go racing here in Martinsville, Virginia, at Martinsville Speedway for 250 laps. Started on pole position, we've got Jeff Shutt. Right beside him, Gil Gock with the 19760, 207 behind. Points leader Clayton Hoffman in third, with Chris Johnson in fourth. Craig Johnson sits fifth, with Josh Schaffner in the sixth position to round out the first half of the field. Al Kozlowski sits in seventh, with Greg Wachinski in eighth. Randy Drumhiller in ninth. Brian Johnson, the last car of the cars that set a qualifying lap, almost 2 seconds slower than his practice laps in 10th position. Wayne Grossi, Kenny Powell in row number 6 with a lonely Paul Olson rounding out the grid. He has yet, though, to grid on up for today's race. So it is looking like it is going to be a very entertaining race as we get set to go for 2 full pace laps of action here tonight.
Yeah, Nolan, this is going to be a lot of braking going on, and you're going to see people diving in these corners. The braking point for majority of these drivers is going to be, you'll see the black sign on the right-hand side of the track here, on the wall here. I'll come across here real quick, and you'll be able to see this is going to be the braking point. The last sign that says Cup Series here on the right, I'm passing it now. That's where a lot of drivers will brake, and it seems kind of early to brake there, but if you don't brake there, you're going to eat these brakes up in this corners. The best place to be in this corner is going to be the low side. I feel sorry for the drivers on the high side, because if the low side driver does not hit this corner just right, he's going to slide right up into the car up a high. It's a lot of talent that goes on at this track, and if you have a lot of it, you're going to be successful. If you have very little, it's going to show. So hopefully we can run safe tonight and run plenty of green flag race laps.
2 pace laps on the docket for tonight. This is a short track, so we get the 2 instead of the traditional 1. All drivers have gridded on up and are ready to take the green flag here in this one. Just under half a mile remaining. It is bound to be an incredibly thrilling race tonight. So Blair, the pace car driver, going to lead them off of turn number 2 and is going to dive it into pit road for turn 3, but it is still a long way around 3 and 4, about a fifth of a mile around turns 3 and 4 here for Jeff Shutt, who is now your control car as the pace car pulls it down onto pit road. Off of turn number 4, off of the concrete, the green flag drops. We are racing for 250 laps here, Martinsville, Virginia. Great launch there from the inside row. Kozlowski looking really tight with Craig Johnson on the entry to turn number 1. Bangs doors with Chris Johnson off the corner. Almost puts the 48 car into the wall, but so far from that little piece of contact, we are completely green side by side for the race lead, though, as Blaine Hoffman is already through to the front. Jeff Shutt just a sitting duck, nothing to 25 she could do about it. Clean and green for turn at number 1. A couple cars still trying to dive in early on, though, into the entry of these corners.
Yeah, this is really rough here. You got to watch what you're doing. As you've seen, I tried to make that pass clean, and it's not as easy as one would think. Typically, turn 1 is where a lot of the incidents happen here, because a lot of these guys are pulling up.
Yeah, we're expecting to hear a little bit less from you tonight, Al. Just and not like we don't like to hear your voice, but just the fact that you're going to have your hands full, as we can see in your fierce battle there with pole sitter, or outside pole sitter Gil Gott trying to take over the 4th position here in the race. That's a bit of a send up the inside. The good old bump and run there to the back end of Gil Gott. Looks like just managed to keep it out of it. That bump and run is going to be a very popular move, though, all throughout the night. Martinsville is one of those tracks where it is very bottom heavy. You cannot pass anywhere else. There's only one way you're going to be able to move somebody that is not willing to move on the bottom side, and that is going to be by taking the advantage for yourself, giving them the good old bumper to shove them up the hill.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do it, unfortunately. He is just not wanting to move out of my way here.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So the battle for 5th place will rage on for a good portion yet in this one before this battle is all said and done. Kind of cycling out through the field. We're single file pretty much the entire way through the order. It looks like Clayton Hoffman has started to kind of run away with it up in front there. He's already got himself about a full turn on the rest of the field. So already Hoffman, even with half a straightaway now on the field, he is just really starting to pull away. Making the look for the inside is Kozlowski on the inside of that 85 car, Gil Gott, but still not able to get the nose in there. It is going to be a very, very tricky one to get the passes done here in tonight's race. More so than any other race so far. There's another shot to the bumper. Make it 2 in 1 corner. You're getting a bit aggressive there, Al.
Yeah, he's brake checking, and I'm going to show him you don't do that. I'm getting it from behind from Chris Johnson here, so you gotta, if you've got to brake early in here because your car's not handling right, get out of everybody's way, and that's my suggestion here, but they don't want to do it, so I'm trying to back up the field here a little bit so I don't end up totaling out my, there's a caution.
Caution flag is out. Kenny Powell has tangled with Paul Olson to bring out caution number 1 on the night. Looks like Kenny Powell just lost the back end all by himself in turns 1 and 2 and came right down in front of Paul Olson, who just had absolutely nowhere to go. That will put us under yellow flag conditions here for the first time tonight. To reset the field, Clayton Hoffman is in first, Shutt in second, Johnson third, Gawk fourth, Kozlowski fifth to round out the top 5. And so far, nobody coming down to take tires on this stop either. Well, seeing as how we are under caution for the first time tonight, why don't we take a quick step away, and we'll be right back here in just a few laps. Cautions tend to go by quick here in Martinsville.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
And welcome back to Martinsville Speedway under caution for the first time tonight. Currently rounding lap 12 of 250. Still a long way to go. We're under caution for Kenny Powell losing the back end in turn number 1. And collecting Paul Olson all the way up in turn number 2, who just had nowhere to go. So now the question is, where do these drivers go? What do they want to do to make sure they can get the most out of these restarts? 1 lap to green. Hoffman looks like he will be sticking for the inside line.
Yeah, it's good to see, knowing that Craig Johnson, our winner from last week, is sitting up here in a 3rd position. Hopefully he can get a good jump here, and I will move up into 3rd because I don't know if the 25 of Jeff Shutt has the car. I definitely think I'll be able to get around Gill here.
Pace car pulls off. Still a bit of a ways to go, though. Not a good idea to really get on the loud pedal in the middle of turn 3. That's obviously a recipe for disaster. Off of turn 4, that's the perfect time. Great launch from Hoffman, who is already 4 car lengths clear of Jeff Shutt by the time they get to start-finish line. Kozlowski with the send up the inside of Craig Johnson, trying to go for 3rd now. The restarts are definitely have to make up all of these moves here. You will not be able to really get him back once you get all the spots made up later on in the race. Still double file behind. Looks like we got a battle with Brian Johnson and Chris Johnson down for about the 8th and 7th positions on the racetracks right now. Schauffler's trying to have a look on the inside as well in the number 50 car. So still side by side for PA so far. Banging doors off of turn number 2.
Now I have to worry about Jeff Shutt and his braking points here. I think I've got myself in a pretty good position. I like 3rd because that gives me the inside on a restart, because we're going to have another caution here soon.
Oh, well, we might get it here. Wayne Grossi sideways off of turn 2 into the inside wall. So far, though, still green, lost back end all by himself, tagged the inside wall, but no caution. So we are still green on the Speedway. First place run away with it. Second on back to really about the 9th or 10th position are all running the one long train. And then it's just everybody else filtering back from there. Currently, lucky dog driver Paul Olson, who is 2 laps down. He needs another 2 cautions to get himself on the lead lap.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stick my nose in here on Jeff Shutt here. He's just pulling me back here a little bit here. I want to get in a 2nd, but I don't want to wreck him. That's the biggest problem here.
Passing is always a bit of a premium when you're at Martinsville. Actually, hang on. Let me reiterate that. Passing is a premium if you're trying to get it done cleanly. Martinsville is one of those tracks where the common saying of passing ain't pretty, it really comes into effect, especially at this track. You need to be aggressive on the braking points because you're just not going to be able to realistically make a whole lot out of just trying to get by all safe and sound. A lot of passes do eventually result in contact, and it's for good reason as well. You're right on the back end, though. of the second place runner Jeff Shutt, who did start on the pole today. So Kozlowski, you're looking to be about as far up on race pace as you have been all season long that isn't at a Speedway.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know. Every dog has his day, I guess.
Well, to say short tracks are the great equalizer really puts drivers on an even playing field. No track is truer than Martinsville at this. It is all down to driver skill and not so much the car. So Josh Schaffner in the battle for 8th place behind has just been passed up by Brian Johnson a couple corners ago. So Schaffner is no doubt going to be looking for a pretty good fight here as well, trying to get things settled in that number 50 machine. He's no doubt going to be trying to fight back with that number 4 car.
Yeah, it's amazing. These guys have really spread out like this. I didn't think this was... Oh, come on. Keep it clean, Jeff.
Oh, and Kozlowski's into the inside barriers off a turn at number 2, just lost the back end.
Brake for that second place driver there, so I didn't spin him out, and I caught myself. My brakes have been too hot here, so now I just have to work my way back through.
Well, that sometimes is how it goes. Same deal happened to Wayne Grossi, in fact, who was all the back in 12th position, just a couple of cars back. Now the battle is really on between Brian Johnson and Josh Schaffner. The two guys are still close. They're still going out. Schaffner's also trying to have a couple looks here on Greg Wyszynski in this battle for the final position inside the top 5. Johnson looks around the outside of Schaffner through the middle of 1 and 2, but you just can't get a run that you need around the outside of these corners. Not going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to need a caution in order to get back up here because I'm running the same lap times as these guys. I was in a perfect position, but second place, he just had some weird braking points. I couldn't understand what he was trying to do, and I didn't want to race him dirty here and spin him out, so I ended up taking myself out.
Now, sometimes the nice guys don't get a whole lot of ground there on the track, and again, yeah, no truer statement than here at Martinsville Speedway, where you kind of have to fight dirty if you want to really be able to make up the positions and to stay up there. There's a reason why a lot of battles at Martinsville come down right to the wire, beating and banging door to door.
Yeah, nice guys finished last is a true statement here at Martinsville. I'm really going to have to just, I guess, put on my dirty pants here and race these guys the way Martinsville wants me to.
I mean, look at Mark Martin. I think Mark Martin is actually a perfect example of this. I think there was another guy on YouTube that actually made a good video on Slapshot, I think the name was, but he put it very, very well. Mark Martin is one of those guys where he was one of the most respectful drivers you can find on the racetrack, but he also finished second a lot more than you won as well. You need to sometimes get your hands dirty if you want to get yourself to victory lane. This is the perfect track for doing so, though. Still single file. We cross over onto lap number 30 this time by. Still 220 laps to go. Long way left in this one.
Well, knowing I'm slowly starting to pick up on the 44 car here. I'm still about 2 seconds behind him here. And every lap I'm about a tenth faster. I'm slowly catching him.
10th by 10th, lap by lap. Sometimes that's all you really need. You yourself were about a half a tenth quicker last time by than Randy Drumhiller, who's the car just up the road. Drumhiller's right at the tail end of that train that's running from 3rd all the way back to the 8th and 9th positions back there. So you're just trying to get on that recovery. So far, you're doing a good job of working yourself out there. A lot of drivers, what will happen is if they make a mistake like that, they'll end up completely losing their minds and they'll just make mistake after mistake. But that has not been the case for you. You've been very consistent. That's what you need to do. Looks like Schaffner's about to have a go here. Greg Wyszynski, though, as he took a look to the inside. Now he's diving up the inside for turn number 1 on lap 33, trying to get on Greg Wyszynski in the number 2 car. This is for the last position inside the top 5. This is great news for you out here. This means they're going to be backing themselves up right into you. Schaffner still side by side for 3 and 4. Just about now gets clear off of turn number 4, but Wyszynski trying to fight around the outside line and retake that 5th position. He is going to have no dice, though, for Josh Schaffner, but still not quite clear. I think just now Wyszynski finally decided to give up and yield the position.
Yeah, I don't want to catch these guys too quick because I think they've got a lot of racing going on up here that is going to cause a caution, and I don't want to be involved in it. So I'm trying to pace myself to wait for this caution that's inevitable.
Up in third, the battle is also picking on up. Gil Gok is trying to have a run at Craig Johnson, does get the pass done for the third position here on lap number 36. Again, still a very long time to go. We're still seeing a lot of these battles picking up early. A lot of these drivers at this point know that you really have got to make sure that you settle yourself in for the long run here. You got to make these positions up early because you're not going to be able to do it when you're just fighting the car more than you are yourself. Now Schofter's having to go with Craig Johnson. They got a bit of a shove that time from Brian Johnson off the corner, but Schofter is going to go through into the fourth position now. Craig Johnson bails out at the corner. Wachinski goes through. So does Craig Johnson. Drumheeler's through. Johnson goes from fourth to ninth in one corner.
Yeah, all it takes is one little mistake here, and that's all that matters. As we've seen earlier on in mine, is if you try to be cautious, you can cost yourself a position or two. In my case, it was 6.
Still a lot of time to go, though, and definitely a lot of time to make it up. But you still are faster than these guys in front of you. In fact, you were 2.5 seconds quicker that last time by as a result of all of these guys battling up with each other and some of the mistakes that have been seen further up front as well. So that's good news for you, as you are still very much in the running of this race. It is, well, the real reason why Martinsville is really great is because of how durable these cars are. It's not going to be at a track like Atlanta, where if you get the smallest piece of aerodynamic damage, it is just going to screw you over for the rest of the night. I've seen people that have run this track with no hood and no front bumper at all, and they have still managed to hang on to the lead for a good 20, 30 laps on a restart. That is just how great this track is. It is such an equalizer, and it means you can race this car as if it's just come out of a demolition derby.
Yeah, it's definitely not aerodynamically dependent on the amount of body panels you have left on the car at the end of the race. That's a good thing.
In fact, I think a common analogy that people like to use when they come to this place is the more damage done to your car, the more racing you have. If you have a completely clean car at the end of a Martinsville race, you're doing something wrong because you should have been racing a little bit harder than that for some of the positions, unless you're somehow in the lead and have just absolutely run away with it, like guys like Clayton Hoffman have done, who at this point is almost half a lap in front of the rest of the
83
field.
Got extremely loose here. I'm going to get around him before he loses it big time.
Step that back end out. Try to go for a good old Formula Drift license through turns 3 and 4. That allows Kozlowski up into the 9th position and still closing in on the guys just up the road as well.
Oh, and I just repeated what he did there. Yeah, the track is getting a lot hotter right now.
Well, not a lot, actually. The track at the start of this one was only 72 degrees Fahrenheit. It's actually only 74, so it's only gone up by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Air temperature is still the same, so are the winds. So it might just be those tires wearing down. You got to remember, those tires, they will start to wear down pretty darn quickly, especially on the right sides and the right rear in particular. So that's going to be careful, something to watch for as well. You got to watch your driver start to be a bit more tender on the throttle. You would not want to find yourself spinning all the way around.
No, it's definitely not a fun activity. I can tell you that, Nolan.
Tell you what, these
and
guys are doing.
Nolan, I've still got the leader. He's like 3.8 seconds behind me here, so I stand a chance of going down a lap if we don't get a caution here soon.
Tell you what, these guys, they're doing a heck of a lot better, you guys, than driving a short track than I am. I mean, the last time I ran a short track was in the official Wheel Unmodified series, but I'm pretty sure I was doing something wrong because after just 40 laps, I shredded my right rear down to a meager 62%. So I just don't know how to drive short tracks. I'm not good at them at all. So honestly, this is one of those better places when it comes to see guys running like this. You know, like you said, the open races that we're having this season, sometimes up to as many as 32 cautions. For those that don't know, we're about to cross over the Latin 50 here. That would mean we would have had to have at least 4 or 5 more by now to even get close to matching that record.
Well, I'm seeing Kenny Powell, and I thought he was catching me there for a minute, but he kind of slowed it down behind me here. You don't want to race this race out of your rearview mirror because it will make you do some crazy mistakes. And that's, I think, what Craig is doing in front of me is he's trying to race out of his rearview mirror, hoping I won't pass him. And he's going to end up making another mistake.
Sometimes it's just the little mistakes that you got to make. And sometimes that's all you got to do. You got to wait for the drivers to make the mistakes. You never know what could happen up in front. You got to hope that the guys can make those mistakes that can allow to get up in front. Brian Johnson and Josh Schopter are going at a big time right now. Johnson just gave Schopter the bumper in turn number 4. The bumper run becoming incredibly prominent in this race once more. Al, why don't you walk us through a bit of the bumper run tactic here? What's the best way you reckon to go about doing it without getting wrecked out yourself?
If you can do it successfully, what you want to do is you get right on the bumper before somebody gets into a turn. As they get into a turn, if you see an opening to where you can get your nose into the left side in between the track and the left side of their fender, that will be the perfect opportunity. And you just basically give it a little bit of a nudge. You really don't have to turn right to do it. Their car will come down on your car, and you can either run them off the track or they'll just correct their turn and move on up so you can pass them successfully. And that's what a bump and run is. Now, I'm getting extremely loose, Nolan. I think I spun. I abused the heck out of these tires. I'm probably going to have to pit around lap 70 here.
You guys do, I believe, have... Oh, heads up! Craig Johnson sideways and fully around! There's the caution that you were hoping for. And Clayton Hoffman right behind you. Kenny Powell just went down the lap. Kenny Powell's the lucky dog at this point. Craig Johnson has spun it, lost the back end, and shot it up the track towards the outside wall. Great car control for Johnson to get it out to the outside wall, but keeping it out of the wall while simultaneously making sure that everybody else didn't get collected behind him. That puts us under caution up for the second time today.
That almost looked like that was a malfunction from his steering wheel or something. Because it looked like he did a very sharp right-hand turn. I don't know if he tried to correct it and overcorrect it or what happened there.
Well, that's exactly what happened. He just overcorrected. Lost the back end and just too much wheel input to the right.
I'm expecting to see everybody on pit road this time.
Sure enough, everybody on the lead lap has come down to pit road. I can expect that everybody a lap down is going to be coming down as well. Caution flags out for the second time today here at Martinsville Speedway. Let's take ourselves a little break and we will be right back.
We believe it means more when something's made by hand here at Cracker Barrel. And we hope you think so too. So stop on by. You're always welcome.
Under caution for the first time today. From the sounds of it now, looks like Randy Drumhiller just got a speeding penalty on pit road. I believe you have more information for us on that one.
I asked him what happened to him. He said he got an unsafe pit exit, which means he caught the cone on the way out here trying to race for a position here. I didn't want to see that because I think that puts me on the outside line here for the restart. No, it puts me on the inside. So as you can see from previous restarts, if I get a good enough jump, I can gain roughly about 3 to 4 positions. So I should, before we turn a lap here, I should be able to be up in the 6th position and heading towards the front of this thing here. I've got 4 fresh tires and I got to preserve them because it looks like I really ate up my tires looking at my tires.
Coming around with 1 lap now to the right of the field. Will getting stacked up, doubled up, ready to go. So the first long green flag run of the night seemed to be just about 40-50 laps in length. Al, do you reckon we can go for about the same amount of distance here? Or do you reckon cautions will start to bring cautions in this one?
It shouldn't. I'm starting on the outside, which is exactly not the spot you want to be on. As you noticed, I had passed people. Oh, I got to. All right, we're going to go green here this time by, and everybody's going to. The wreck will happen. It's going to happen in turn 1 here.
Green flag is off. The outside line did not go. Jeff Shutt delays the start big time. 20 wide towards turn number 1. Keselowski takes out Schofter, cautions, Wilbury cautions, and the caution flag is out once again. Huge checkup with the outside line. Jeff Shutt never went when the leader did, and that caused everybody behind to just get caught up in that one. Oh, dear.
Yeah, that was a terrible restart. I have no idea what happened there, and it caused everybody to be extremely slower coming into turn 1, and I was doing my normal speed and ended up in a 3-wide predicament and took out somebody. That's a terrible deal. Who did I take out?
Well, I'm afraid it was Josh Schofter, the driver that was starting 4th place on the grid just before that restart. Wow. 3rd caution of the night. Lap number 61. Wayne Grossi, I believe, will get the lucky dog free pass. So, good grief. That's always the fear of Martinsville. When you get a caution, what will happen on the restarts?
Yeah, that's exactly what I told you. Turn 1 is very treacherous, and if you don't get a good start there, I have no idea what the lag was. Maybe wheel spin or something. Did he pit? Did the 25 pit the last time by?
Checking right now. Wayne Grossi did, in fact, pit last time by.
Oh, that'd be the 25, Jeff Shutt.
Oh, Jeff Shutt, excuse me. Yes, he still did come. Everybody came down to pit last time by.
So he had fresh tires. I don't think he would have had wheel spin. He might have misjudged his gear he was starting in. He might have started in 3rd gear.
He's starting in the wrong gear. That'll always be a way to completely mess up the field behind you. It's always an embarrassing thing to do, but that's why you got to double check that sort of thing when you're coming to a restart. Although I have known somebody that attempted to start in the grass at Texas Motor Speedway, so it's still not the worst situation you could have.
Well, I tell you, Nolan, if this goes caution after caution after caution, I'm going to park this thing and come up in the booth, because I'm not going to run 250 laps like an NIS race last night and beat myself up. So I'll exit the race and take whatever position I end up with and come up into the booth with you. So hopefully we'll get this a little bit straightened around here and everybody be clean.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to see here. This is going to be an entertaining restart, to say the least. Obviously, nobody's coming down to pit road this time by. You guys just came down like one green flag lap ago. No reason at all to come down. Are you guys 2 to green or 1 to green at the moment?
We are 2 to green, coming to 1 to green here. And again, looks like I'm going to start on the outside here. And if the outside line gets a good enough run here, a jump, we should be able to stay with the rest of the field here. I think I've got behind the 25 here of Jeff Shutt. And he's not coming up. He's going to stay low for some reason. This is another squirrely situation here.
Give him a bit of a notice there. There you go. Some drivers also tend to forget where they are, so this will be an interesting restart, to say the least. The last one resulted in a caution. We'll have to see, will Gil Gach make the same mistake as Shutt, or will he be able to get this one clean in the 85 car? Prepare for the lead for Jürgen Hoffman. There it is, Hoffman off and away. Gil Gach gets a much better restart, and already cars swapping lanes as we are at the green flag. Down for turn number 1. Already a heck of a lot better than the restart of 5 laps ago. First side-by-side battle on the track right now is between Wachinski and Keselowski. The battle is for 6th and 7th. Wachinski trying to get the inside of the 00 machine down into turn number 1. Staying nice and wide is that 00 machine. Trying to get a bit of a run up the corner. Heads up. Big send around the outside line. In for turn number 3. Just behind Powell clears Drumheller for the, I believe, the 9th or 8th position on the racetrack. Now the nearest battle behind you guys, Randy Drumheller versus Josh Schofter. Final positions inside the top 10.
Yeah, and this is where you'll have to be really patient. These guys are brake checking like crazy here.
Short track racing is never a pretty form of racing, but it is always a dang good show to watch. So the first battle on back. Now Grassi versus Drumhiller. Grassi trying to get the last position inside the top 10. Schaffner started to pull away. Drumhiller getting really held up there behind that number 7 machine. This could be a bit of a tight fight here. Grassi runs a little bit wide, but they're able to clear off of turn number 2, all safe and sound.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get inside of Greg Wachinski here. He keeps on braking a little earlier than I do, and I think that's going to hinder me because I got Kenny Powell and Josh Schaffner behind me just steaming down my neck here.
Schaffner clears Kenny Powell, so, well, you know the next targeted side here. Oh, I say that! Schaffner gets real loose off of turn number 4 and loses out the spot to Kenny Powell. He's going to have to try to take that one all over again. That mistake, Al, probably just got you about a lap or 2 of breathing space.
There's the bump and run.
Oh, and Wachinski gets spun around.
I'm going to probably park this thing. This thing is terrible right now.
Contact was made between the 00, I'm afraid, Al, and that number 2 car. Right front to left rear sends Greg Wachinski up the track. Did keep it out of the outside wall from what I could see, but that is going to put Wachinski down to the back of the field.
Yeah, no, and I'm probably going to park this thing and come in. This is, I think I got too much damage on this thing, and it's just not going to handle right, and I'm going to end up taking people out. So I'm going to go ahead and park it, come on into the booth.
Under caution for the 4th time tonight as pit stops begin to get underway for a few key drivers on the grid, including second place runner Brian Johnson. Let's take ourselves a quick break, and we'll be right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
We believe it means more when something's made by hand here at Cracker Barrel, and we hope you think so too. So stop on by. You're always welcome.
Lap 76, still not even 100 laps have been run here in this race here at Martinsville Speedway. It is bound to be an incredibly entertaining race, though, nonetheless. It has been the most entertaining race all season. Martinsville Speedway often is, though. Looks like we are still 2 laps screen here, Al.
Yeah, we're 2 laps, Nolan. I'm going to ride in the back of this field just so I can broadcast, but it kind of looks like these guys, if they can't get their braking points down packed here and right, then we're going to have a lot more wrecks, and I'm afraid I'm going to be the one that's going to cause them. So you'll see me giving a lot more than I normally would because I do not want to take out these guys, but I'm going to have to try to find a different way around them. I mean, the bump and run's not going to work here, and these guys are just braking uncontrollably too soon. I don't understand it.
Now 1 lap to green, half a mile to go before we go racing once again. So the caution's breeding caution has been the trend so far in this one. So far, the longest green flag period has been from lap 14 all the way up to about lap number 61. We have not run more than 10 or so laps green outside of that. So now the big question is going to be, can Clayton Hoffman somehow manage to pull it off here He will get back on the lap pedal. We are back racing. Bad start from the outside row again. Gilgock checking up the field. Down for turn number 1. And it looks like, though, still a clean restart. No contact anywhere in the field so far.
God bless it. I tell you, these guys are just breaking. This is the worst I've seen it. I can't even explain it. I have not seen these guys drive like this. And it's bunching up the field. You can't get anywhere when you do that. These guys are better than this.
Still side by side, Kenny Powell and Brian Johnson do battling for it here on lap number 81 now for the 8th and 9th positions. Johnson finally gets clear. Wachinski immediately throws it up the inside of Kenny Powell. Saw the door open, decided to go for it. Down the back straightaway now, single filed out for the first time since we took the green flag about 3-4 laps ago.
And here you got Wayne Grossi is in the inside in that 7 car, and he is brake checking the heck out of it. And Greg Wachinski took the outside and made a pass. So you can see some smoke coming from Wayne Grossi's 7 car there. I mean, he's riding that brake way too late. So when I say they're braking too soon, he's braking way too late. And that's not going to end well for him. He's going to end up spinning out here.
Up front, Brian Johnson trying to have a go at Randy Drumhiller. Drumhiller overdrives turn number 3. That allows Johnson to the 4 car to get up the inside line. Johnson gets well clear. I think Drumhiller might have just let him have that position there. Maybe didn't want to fight it out too much in the early stages. The battle's on from the 3rd position as well. Schoffer, well, I said that Schoffer just made another costly mistake. Spun the tires on corner exits. Such an easy thing to do at this track. Jeff Shutt still trying to fend him off, though, for the 3rd and final spot on the podium. Tell you what, it's been a good running so far for those guys up in the front. All the attrition has seemed to be coming from the bottom half of the field.
See, Wayne Grossi is leaving the bottom line open like this, and I'll stick my nose in there, and if he comes down on me, then he'll spin out here.
So about 2 trains going on the track right now. You got 3rd from Jeff Shutt all the way back to Randy Drumhiller. Then you got Wachinski on back to Kenny Powell with 7th or 8th on down through the 11th position. And so far, both trains do have some really close battles going in there as well, with people almost making contact in every single corner. Big send up the inside. Grossi turns down onto Kozlowski as Kozlowski went for the dive bomb into turn number 1. Still, though, did get the pass done safe and sound. Well, not quite safe and sound, but definitely got the pass done regardless.
Yeah, he was bound and determined to wreck. I mean, I just had to get in there, and I stuck my nose in there, and he thought I was not down there, and he come down on me, but we took care of it. Somehow I'm going to be the bad guy on that one, too.
And now, with Grossi starting to do battle with Kenny Powell here, that is meaning that you're just able to start to close in on the gap here to Greg Wachinski, who I don't think is going to be in too much of a mood to let you through after the last attempt you had to get him by. And Brian Johnson up front, though, really handed it to Gilgock, just pounded him twice in the rear in one corner. That unfortunately checked up Brian Johnson on the corner exit and allowed for Randy Drumhiller to close right on up. That nearly actually caused Drumhiller to wreck out Brian Johnson as a result of the checker that was caused by it.
Yeah, I'm being very cautious with Greg here because I had previously had an altercation with him, and I'm afraid it's going to happen again if I don't take it easy here.
For 3rd, Schoffer finally gets by Jeff Shutt, who was unfortunately just eventually had to be considered a sitting duck, but it's not over yet. Schoffer still has a good chance But he can run away with this position here. Jeff Shutt is going to be trying to maybe get the spot back. Gil Gawk could potentially have a run at him here, but it's going to be a really big question as to whether Gil Gawk can be able to really get it done. Brian Johnson is really close to the back end as well. So right now, the closest fight we got on the track here is 4th, 5th, and 6th, with Jeff Shutt, Gil Gawk, and Brian Johnson running in the train. Johnson looks for the inside. Gawk cuts him off on the entry to turn 3. Oh, and Johnson did not like that at all as he tried to stuff it in there through the middle of 3 and 4. Wasn't able to get a success with them, but we almost had caution number 5.
Yeah, it's going to be a caution here with Greg and me if I don't try to figure out a way around this, man. He is just so much slower than me right now.
Oh, and slided up the track big time. That was, I think that was what a bit of front end wheel hop there, Al, if I got that right.
Yeah, I'm eating up my brakes trying to stop from rear ending this driver in front of me here. I'm hoping that he would catch these guys in front of him so I can make a twofer here, but he's just not. I don't know what his setup is. Maybe I caused him some damage during that last restart. I don't know. Or during that last caution I had with him. I'm not sure. Because this is not like Greg Wychinski to drive like this. He must have a kill handling car.
Brian Johnson trying to have a run at Gil Gawk on the entry to turn number 1. He's going to get the position done. So 6th place chalk it up for, or 5th place chalk it up for Brian Johnson. That leaves Gawk under fire from Drumhill, who's now side by side at the entry for turn number 3. This is such a thrilling race we've had here so far. It has been one of the best races we've had all season so far in a very long time. We're coming up now on what could be the longest green flag run in the race as well, too, here in about 15, 20 more laps here, provided these guys don't take each other out first.
Well, I finally got past Greg Wychinski here.
Jeff Shutt just claimed he's going to move up for Brian Johnson, who slides wide and nearly wipes out Jeff Shutt in the process. Jeff Shutt moved up to let him through, and Brian Johnson just overdrove the corner and nearly left rear hooked him around. That was all too close for comfort at turn number 1. Tell you what, this is how this battle is going to go if these guys don't come down to pit first. It's one of those situations where these guys just cannot run out there, for too long without something big taking place here. So this could be one of those battles that goes right on through to the pit window and potentially beyond, even if these guys end up being as close on pit road as they are in the racetrack right now. As you go up the inside of Randy Drumkiller, Al, to pick up the 7th position.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pick these guys off cleanly as much as possible without getting them.
Look at all the battling has kind of made things settle on now. Right now, the closest cars consistently, though, are Brian Johnson and Josh Schaffner. I know you're trying to look up the inside there of Jeff Shutt. You're going to go down the inside and nudge Jeff Shutt wide. Heads up for Drumhill.
Oh, Lord.
That makes the attempt.
That was some pretty sloppy driving on my part here.
Brian Johnson and Josh Schaffner are still close. I'll tell you what, while we're crossing over with just less than 200 laps to go at this point, let's take a rundown through the order real quick again. Clinton Hoffman is currently in the lead. Chris Johnson sits 2nd. Jeff Schaffner is 3rd. Brian Johnson 4th, though that might change as Schaffner is looking up the inside of Johnson for the 3rd position. Gil Gawk is in 5th. Kozlowski 6th. Drumhiller 7th. Shutt is in 8th. Wychinski Grossi rounded out the top 10. Kenny Powell, last driver on the lead lap. Greg Johnson and Paul Olson wrapping up the 13-car grid. But count Brian Johnson now up into the third position as he just now got by Josh Schaffner.
Yeah, these tires are messed up trying to pass these guys.
And now Chris Johnson swings wide, sacrifices the second position to Brian Johnson. Josh Schaffner might have a look over here for what is down the third position, as now it seems like it is going to be Chris Johnson to couple down the timing order, as now Kozlowski takes a really wide run. That allows Drumhiller through, and Jeff Schutt gets through as well.
Yeah, I'm parking it. I'm parking it, Nolan. I've never raced. I don't like Martinsville, and I definitely do not like the way this is happening tonight.
Well, we're going to get our first retirement of the night. As
yeah, that's going to be me, buddy.
Brings it down pit road. First time. It's an unfortunate way to go, but sometimes if that's the case, it's a bit of a shame. But sometimes that if you think it's the right call, it's if only you can make that call. Down to 12 drivers here for the rest of the 250 lap race in total tonight. Rounding lap 112. Just 138 laps to go. We're going to be coming up here on that halfway point in about 12, 13 laps here. Side by side now, Kenny Powell is a lap car, so disregard me on that one as he is going to start letting by some of the guys here on the lead lap.
Yeah, I would just watch these guys from my car here and try to broadcast from here. The reason I got out is because my car, I used up my tires trying to pass these guys. And the courtesy thing to do, I guess, in my opinion, is if you're a slower car and you see somebody behind you that's a lot faster, you probably should move up and let them by so they don't bump and spin you by accident. I mean, I've been in too many incidents tonight that I did not want to be involved in that are probably going to be blamed upon my fault, and it's more like the driver in front of me was either checking up a lot more sooner than I expected, or they just didn't have the right setup underneath them and they were slower and I'm trying to get by them. So I decided to park it.
$115 laps complete. Why don't we take ourselves a quick break? We will find ourselves right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
We believe it means more when something's made by hand here at Cracker Barrel. And we hope you think so too. So stop on by. You're always welcome.
We're running green here at Martinsville Speedway, just 5 laps away now from the halfway point. It's been a very, very good run so far. Only 4 or 5 cautions on the night. We are now in the longest green flag run all race so far. That has been going on since lap number 74. So almost a good part of 50 laps here. Second on back is still under a blanket. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth specifically are the 4 that are really close right now, as they have been since the drop of the green flag out.
Yeah, I'm watching Josh Schaffner work the rear end here of Chris Johnson in that 48 machine to try to see if he can get third position. And I think Schaffner is really eating up his equipment. Chris is being smart by patiently just driving his line. And I don't see him braking a lot sooner than everybody else. So I guess that's pretty much a good thing here. 85 machine there of Gil Gawke had a little problem earlier on, but he's running steadily in fifth. And it looks like he's just patiently waiting for the 50 machine to make a mistake. He can see it's going to happen. Oh, he's 50. He's going to the inside. He's trying to do it, and he slips a little bit there.
And that's the problem that Josh Schaffner has been. Really sends it up the inside there of turn number one. Thought that was going to end in tears for a minute. Chris Johnson might find himself being dumped out of the podium positions here as Schaffner goes up the inside of the third place driver, Chris Johnson. Going to go through and clear up a 4. Chris Johnson not able to come down though because now Gil Gawke is on the inside trying to make it up into 4th, and now he's going to get it in. Johnson just barely slips in between himself and Drumhiller.
Well, what happened there, I don't think Josh Schaffner had sent it in there intentionally. I'm assuming that he had hit his brakes and it just slid. That happened to me twice already in this race, and that's why I decided to park it. Once you heat up those brakes, they're almost non-existent, you know. So if you don't drive responsibly or cautiously in this race, you're going to heat up those brakes, and when you heat them up, they don't work as well.
Well, we're now halfway through this race, 126 down, 124 remaining. What do you think? What are your thoughts on how this race has gone so far? Because honestly, this has been one of the most exciting races we've seen all season long. I mean, we've had an extremely reduced grid size all season, which is so unfortunate. But consider we still only have 13 total cars, well, 12 total cars now in the running. I think this has still been a phenomenal race so far, as Wachinski now looks up from the inside of the 7th place driver of Jeff Shutt.
It has been typical Martinsville. I mean, unfortunately, most of the cautions that came out tonight were caused by me, but and that's exactly why I decided to park it. I don't want to take these guys out and take away. These guys are racing for points here, and unfortunately, I was caught in some incidents with some of these drivers that might have hindered their ability to get some points that they desperately need to gain a position here. But we're watching a lot of these drivers, and I said this under break, a lot of these drivers are braking cautiously. I mean, they're braking a lot sooner than the sign here. I mean, they're almost braking on the front stretch right after the start-finish line. And that's when you get problems from the driver behind him, who usually is watching his marks to brake, which is like maybe the NASCAR sign with the black label on it, or a little bit after that. They're not paying attention that the driver in front of them is braking a lot sooner, and they rear-end them. And any damage that you get on this car, it doesn't hinder it at all, luckily for these drivers, but it will affect you in the long run on your brakes if you have to cram on your brakes to try to avoid them. As I stated earlier, if you heat these brakes up, they're pretty much useless. And then inevitably, you're going to hit the guy in front of you because you cannot stop.
Managing tire life, managing brake life, an ever challenging task when you get to this place. I mean, it's the question of just what are you able to do with the car? I mean, you got to make sure that you don't overdrive the car, but at the same time, if you drive it too slow, you can still find yourself spinning the rack. You got to keep the tires hot, because if they're cold, you're just going to find yourself spinning off every corner, but you can't get them too hot, or you are again going to find yourself spinning off of every single corner. Up to 8th place has all been lapped at this point. Wayne Grossi, Craig Johnson, Powell, Olsen, all last down. Those are from the guys running on the track. Craig Johnson now being scooped up by that very fierce battle for the 3rd position.
I'm watching Randy Drumhiller here in that 44 machine trying to get around Chris Johnson, that I believe might have, he's going to slide up and just let him have it here. He's not going to try to abuse his equipment too much, which is a smart move for him, because they've still got roughly about 55 more laps before these guys are going to come to pit road. They've got to pit one more time. I don't believe they can make it to the end.
Absolutely not. There's no way you can go that far on your own. So these guys have got to come down at least once. But I'd expect these guys to maybe even come down for a second time, depending on how their tire life goes. Again, managing tire life is just so critical in these races. And these guys have been out there for a solid up to 80 laps, some of these guys, on these tires. That is a really long time. Those tires, they are going to really be worn down at this point, and it cannot be healthy for the cars as a whole.
Well, here comes the 2-car, Greg Wachinski. I think he was, earlier on in this race, he was trying to do tire preservation. Oh, we have a caution.
Craig Johnson, the car a lap down, just got tagged by Randy Drumhiller, who tried to have a look at the inside. Johnson just turned down on him a bit, and that sent the 83 car around in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Everybody else managed to miss him, though, so good job of the 83 car to hold those brakes and make sure nobody else got involved in that one.
I'm glad you said that. I just realized I was watching my in-car, which is about a minute behind your live action view here, so I had to speed it up a little bit.
So I think the goal is everybody will be coming on down this time by.
And surprisingly, Nolan, if they pit this time by, they can make it to the end.
Would you look at that? Ain't that just convenient?
Yeah, they can make it to the end. So, because realistically, when you talk about this track, it's basically, it's roughly about 65 miles. And we should be able to turn that in roughly about 30 minutes if they go green.
The caution for, I believe, the 6th time tonight. So let's take another quick break. We'll be right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Nolan, it looks like our leader here, Clayton Hoffman, might have got a black flag speeding off pit road. We're trying to get confirmation from him here now, and he's just not responding. I do believe we're going to have to watch that 92 car. It looks like he had some great speed to him. He's going to have to work himself through the field. And that changes things around a lot here. We got Brian Johnson now is the new leader. Wayne Grossi in that 7 car is second. Josh Softener third. Gil Gawk fourth. Randy Drumhiller fifth. Chris Johnson sixth. Jeff Shutt seventh. And Greg Wachinski is eighth. Rounding out the top 10 will be Clayton Hoffman and Craig Johnson. Now, Craig Johnson is the first car a lap down. Kenny Powell is also 1 lap down, and he's in 11th. Paul Olson is 12 laps down, and I got out of the race, and I'm now 29 laps down. So now, if Brian Johnson, the trick here is if he learned anything from Clayton Hoffman, he has to get an early jump. He does not want to get involved in fiasco that's going to go on in the first turn here, and I imagine we're going to have another caution going on to that. So let's see if Brian Johnson in that 4 machine gets a good jump. As he comes out of this corner, we'll probably see him accelerate. Right there he goes. Great jump. And if he can,
already
44 machine got a very terrible start. And we've got some drivers that get black flag for that.
Well, yeah, I don't blame him. Jeff shot past on the inside before the start-finish line. Drumhiller just missed a shift, spun his wheels, or something happened to the 44 car, and he got put at the outside wall. That has really split the field up on this restart. 26-second hold for Shutt.
Oh, that's terrible. That's that 44 Randy Drumhiller. I don't know if he spun or what. Spun his tires or what he did.
He was at the rev limiter. It looked to me like he missed a shift. Powell's just dumped Drumhiller as well. Caution flag is out. Drumhiller outside wall. Turn number 4 just got dumped by Kenny Powell.
Well, somehow, some way, I'm seeing the field's kind of jumbled up. You know, Clayton Hoffman, who started back there 9th, he's in 5th already.
Wow. Well, that was something. Talk about
Typically, the cautions will happen right here at the restart. And that we've seen some terrible restarts. That's the second terrible restart we've seen tonight. I don't know if we're starting in first gear or what we're doing here, but these drivers, it's Thursday. Nolan, it's Thursday. They've been racing all week long. They should have their setup under control. They should know what their car is going to do, and they should know how to do a restart. But obviously, maybe some of these drivers didn't race at all this week, and it's the first time.
We got to remember as well that Martinsville is one of the trickiest tracks in the NASCAR schedule. So it could also very well just be a case here. Just make it an honest mistake. It happens. We all make them. Nobody's innocent. Even the pro guys can sometimes make mistakes like that.
And I will point out, Nolan, that this track is hotter than any A-Open or NIS race has been this week. It is 72 degrees. The hottest I've been on a track this week is roughly about 66 degrees. So this is a really hot, slick track. So that could be another reason why we're spinning tires and we're sliding around like we are. I think these drivers have got their set up for that colder track, and they didn't expect this track to be so hot. So they've got to compensate it with a little bit of steering wheel and gas coordination here.
Yeah. Well, that was certainly not quite the way that we wanted that restart to go, but who knows? We'll probably get a better one this time around. Usually, the whole caution thing only lasts for about one caution or so here in this league, and then they get their act together. I think it's just the fact that they've gone so long without having to do a restart, over 100 laps, in fact, that they probably got a little bit cocky with themselves there.
Well, I think Brian Johnson showed his hand. So Josh Schaffner and Gil Gawk and Chris Johnson all know what he's going to do this time. They all know he's going to get a jump. Now, when I mentioned this earlier when I was in the inside line, let's watch Clayton Hoffman. He is in fifth. He should easily be able to work himself up into third before we pull a full lap on this, because the top line is not going to be able to get a good enough jump start here, especially if they start like they did the last time.
So to reset the running order here again, right now it's Brian Johnson, Schaffner, Doc, the other Johnson, Clayton Hoffman, Iwaczynski, Grassi. The third Johnson, Drumhiller, Powell, Schutt, and Olsen to round out the field so far in this one.
So let's watch his top line. It's in the lead by Josh Schaffner. He's going to lead these guys to the green here, and he's got Chris Johnson behind him and Greg Wyszynski. So they're all hoping that Josh Schaffner does not spin his tires and gets a good start. But we expect to see Brian Johnson as he comes off his turn to go. And Josh Schaffner's just going to have to go with him, and he doesn't. But Chris Johnson gets a little bit of squirrely. Oh, Lord. Boy, yeah. Oh, Clayton Hoffman is sending it on the outside. And, he gets hit by the 85. He gets hit by Chill Gawk as Gil just slides up in that corner. So that's not going to affect him too bad. Clayton should be able to recover from that, but it's exactly what happens when the driver's on the inside and they press them brakes a little bit too hard. I didn't see any dust or any smoke coming from those brakes, but he just came up and he completely took out Clayton Hoffman there.
Huge props to Paul Olsen. He came around a blind corner and saw a car stop. He did a fantastic job to slow that down in time so that he didn't rear end Clayton Hoffman as well.
But yeah, Paul Olsen has just used up his tires by doing that. I mean, if you slam on those brakes, you're taking away your flat spot in those tires, and they're not going to treat you very good in these corners, flat spot.
Powell is the lucky dog free pass. He will pass by on the outside line on this lap. Once again, we're not expecting anybody to come down to pit road, seeing as these guys haven't made more than 2 or 3 laps under green since they came down to pit.
Well, let's see how this restart goes again. We already know what Brian's going to do. Is Jocelyn and Clayton Hoffman's going on pit road. They're going to take care of some of that rear end damage. Seeing he's at the back of the field, he's got nothing to lose. We also have the 7, Wayne Grassi, in on pits. I don't know what he's doing, if he's going to just get some fuel just to make sure he's got enough to the end, or or if he's actually going to try to get 4 freshies. Maybe he spun its tires and didn't get tires before.
I believe we're 2 laps green at the moment. Right now, all the drivers are running around at 4th. I believe just trying to make sure that they got enough fuel to make it through to the end of this race. I reckon they should have enough fuel to make it through to the end of the race by now. Right, Al?
No, and if you look on pit road, you will see my car is smoking.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what happens now when you don't shut it off. Because
oh, yeah. I got to shut this thing off here.
Imagine that, leaving your keys to the ignition, just come back, the whole dang thing's on fire.
I've never had this before. I really don't know how to shut this thing off. I think it's Control I, right?
I don't know. I haven't mapped a button on my wheel. If you use the clutch like I do, Al, what I would just do, just put the clutch in, shift it to first, and lift off the clutch without getting on the gas. That'll make it stall out, and that'll shut it off by itself.
Oh no, she just blew up. That's a good thing.
Oh, that works too.
I've never really left my car sitting here on pit road running before. It's a bad thing. Look at smoke. Is just black smoke in the infield. The car's on fire.
Wow. Well, that sounds like you see every day. Not just any car blew up as well. My commentator's car blew up in pit road. So that's something you see every day.
Yeah, hats off to iRacing. They've got this the effects really well. That's black smoke coming from the hood of my car as my car is blown up. It was on fire, maybe. I don't know. Grab some hot dogs.
As I say, perfect day for marshmallows. Brian Johnson,
here we go.
We're taking it to the green.
Oh, 48 there. Chris Johnson got a good lead right, or a good jump right there. Oh, and he sends it, and there it is. It's like wrecking again. Craig Wachinski makes it through safely. The 2-car just squeezes right in there.
And that is the big one. The first time of the night. And what happened there was Gil Gawk sent it on the inside there on a huge dive bomb, way too fast to make the corner. Josh Schaffner was the first driver collected. He spun up and collected Chris Johnson. Gil Gawk got another big piece of it. I believe Craig Johnson might have gotten involved as well. Nope, not quite. It was just those 3 cars, but multi-car pile-up turn number 1. Season's under caution once again. Cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, typically about 60% of the time, the cautions always come out in the restarts. That's why you really got to be cautious here on what you're doing. If you're going into turn 1, I don't know why everybody is in such a hurry. They just need to be cautious because it'll work itself out. And good news, my car has stopped smoking. They must have put the fire out. We have a little contact between the 44 and the 85 back here. I don't know, it was a side-by-side little hit there, as the 85 has got absolutely no front end left on him. That is Gil Gawk. He's probably going to have some damage that he might want to stop and take some tape off or do something with that. Otherwise, he's going to end up where my car was, having a fire extinguisher used on it.
I think that's what Gawk was trying to do. I think he was trying to come down to pit road, and unfortunately, Drumheller was just in his way, and he didn't even see him until he hit him in the door.
But normally they have these, iRacing's got these little funny things that NASCAR's got. They're called spotters.
Yeah, the spotters don't work under caution, though, because they expect you to be single file, not side by side with anybody.
Yeah, the damage model here is tremendously great. Let's take a look at the front end of the 85 machine here. Gil Gawk. He's absolutely got no front balance or anything on this thing. You can clearly see his radiator and his bumper support and everything here. That could be a good thing and a bad thing. I don't know how well the damage model is, but if that front brake or support, front bumper support, if that catches a tire and a driver in front of them just right, it might take a tire out.
Could say he's driving a bit of a discount modified at the moment. Lights are out in the pace car. We're set to go green flag racing once again. We have not been able to get more than 10 green flag laps in since the caution came out on lap number 138. So far than that, it's been non-stop yellows after yellows. Haven't got more than like 5 laps in there, so this could be where everything starts to go a little bit wrong. We are now in the final 100 laps of the race. 88 to go. We'll take that green flag.
Well, see, Greg Wyszynski is expecting the Ford car to make a good jump. As he makes a jump, and he's going to get a black flag if he does that.
Ow.
Oh, he makes a great jump with him, and he's going to secure his second place. We're watching, Wayne Grossi in that 7 machine sends it up a little higher than he should.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's why I don't broadcast what you plan to do on the restart, because Wyszynski said he's expected to jump for Johnson, so Johnson held back on purpose just to mess him up a little bit. That is why you never, ever broadcast what you think somebody is going to do over the race channels, is because it's going to cause something like that to happen.
Oh, I guarantee you that what they did there is he planned it. See, Brian is not a dumb driver. He knows he's already showed his hand 3 times to these guys, and they expect him to jump it. So he decided to throw a loop into him and not jump it, and that got these guys really confused.
Oh, no!
Clayton Hoffman loses it and catches the wall and hits the front end of Kenny Powell. Your earlier race leader just lost it.
And that might put an end to Clayton Hoffman's day. The driver running top in the point standings, and not just the Cup Series, but also the Super Cup Series. Ahead of the Cup Series, or in the Super Cup Series by 40 points. Ahead in the normal Cup Series by only 2 over Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson could very easily take over the race lead here if that 48 car can get something together here, because that was a huge hit for Hoffman. That car is definitely going to be down on power because of it.
Yeah, he's definitely got some damage on that car, that's for certain. That's going to be a great benefit for the number 2 car, as he was looking like he had a great jump on Brian there. So I think we've got 3 cars. And again, I was in the race, so I didn't pick my driver to win the race. And I think it's not really going to matter here at Martinsville, because I can just throw the dice and pick whoever, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to be involved in an incident. If you can finish this race without getting any incident points, you really haven't came off pit road.
Under caution, once again, the cautions precaution trends continues on Martinsville Speedway. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com, and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Welcome back to Martinsville. I'm going to take a quick in-car look at Clayton Hoffman, who, I don't know what happened to his car. It took a sharp right into the wall and ended up collecting Kenny Powell with that, as he's coming back on pit road right now. I want to see, when he's on the pit, in his pit box, what his RPMs are, and that's going to tell us if he's got any kind of horsepower left in this car. If it's anything under a 2100, that means he's got engine damage and he's not going to be very competitive. So let's see what he looks like as he comes into his pits here.
Meanwhile, the pace car is coming to the green flag. So Hoffman almost certainly, he already is a lap down here, so not good enough for Hoffman. Is just now out of pit road. The field coming through turn 3 here, Al.
I don't know why he came down pit road. He must have had to start in the back here. Let's stay in car with him and see. He's really got some suspension damage here. But he looks like he's got all his horsepower. I mean, he is coming back to the field.
Craig Johnson outside wall. He did as he overdrove turns 1 and 2. Stepped back in. It was a hard hit, but luckily nobody got collected in it. He didn't go all the way sideways, so we're still green on the restart. Battle is on for third with Gil Gock trying to fend off Josh Schaffner. There's not a single clean car on the racetrack right now.
The other single file, Brian Johnson has shown dominance there, and they've got Craig Wychinski in that 2 car right behind him. And it looks like the only battle, like you had mentioned before, is going to be between 4th and 5th. Well, yeah, we've got the 50 car and Gil Gock. No, it'd be the 3rd and 4th cars here. If Gil can just maintain his position, he'll be a podium finisher tonight. But it looks like he's driving it a little bit too aggressive, and he's probably going to lose control of that. And the 50 machine of Josh Schaffner is going to sneak by him. Take that back. I think Schaffner is going to give him a little bit of love on the rear end and give him a bump and run. Oh, the 85 catches the wall. That means he's really using up his equipment. The 85 Gil Gock needs to calm it down a little bit in order to keep that 3rd position.
A lot of drivers are starting to make a lot more mistakes here in this race, and I have a big feeling here that this part has to do in part with the fact that a lot of these cars are looking a bit more torn up. I mean, just kind of looking through the order. Brian Johnson has some front end damage. Greg Wychinski looks clean, but he was involved in quite a major incident early on. Gil Gock doesn't have a front bumper. Schaffner's got front and rear damage. Wayne Grossi has a little bit of left front damage. Drumhiller's got damage on both ends of his car, as does Kenny Powell. Jeff Shutt has problems. So does Johnson, Hoffman, Olsen, and Chris Johnson. Not a single car in this field is clean right now. I have a feeling that is what's really starting to play into the fact that a lot of these guys are starting to kind of lose control of their machines. The track's also cooling as well. It's down to 72 degrees Fahrenheit now on the racing surface. And that has to do with the fact that, well, as we get later in the night, that track temperature is going to continue to cool.
Let's watch the battle between the 50 and the 85. He's going to catch him. He's going to do that bump and run. The 50 is being very aggressive right here. Josh Schaffner, he is trying to intimidate the mess out of Gil Gock here in that 85 machine. And Gil is kind of letting him get away with it. He's not trying to stay cool. He's driving out of his rearview mirror. And I told you before earlier in this race, if you drive out of your rearview mirror, you're going to make mistakes. So watch this battle between the 2 of these guys.
Schaffner really giving it to Gil Gock, giving him bumper after bumper through turns 3 and 4. That's got to do in part with why we're seeing these guys get so aggressive. I mean, Josh Schaffner, he's one of the most aggressive guys on the track all night long. He's been giving the bumper to every driver he has come across time and time again. Gil Gock was doing an amazing job of hanging on to it, though.
Yeah, if you can kind of steer away from the response from the bump and run here, you might be able to make it and survive it. But I don't think the 50 is done with him yet, unless he's really used up his equipment trying to get up there and beat him up. But I don't think he's done yet. I think he's going to come up there and give it to him again as he gets close.
Schaffner so deep on the brakes into turn at number 1. Let's take a ride on board here for a few laps with Josh Schaffner. We'll be able to compare the braking points really well between those 2 drivers.
Yeah, if Schaffner keeps this up in that 50 machine, he's going to end up spinning this car. The front end's going to lock up, or his brakes are going to heat up so bad that he's not going to be able to slow down. He's just going to plow right in the back of the 85 Gil Gock and just take him out. So let's watch as they get really close here again here. And surprisingly, Josh Schaffner is able to slow it down and keep it off the rear end of the Gil Gock in that 85 machine, but I don't know how long he's going to be able to hold that up. There he goes. I thought he had him again.
definitely give him the tap there. You hear the metal crunch from the two drivers. I mean, this is just unbelievable what we're seeing here. These guys are still racing so hard. And it's important worth knowing, there's still 65 and a half laps left to go. These guys still have got a long ways left to go in this race. It is nowhere close to being over yet.
And Greg Wyszynski in that 2 car, they're closing in on him. And all he's seeing in his rearview mirror is that these two guys are battling like crazy. Here comes Wayne Grossi. And Wayne's not going to be very easy on the rear bumpers of these cars either. So the best thing Greg Wyszynski can do is hope that he can get in front of the lap car that's in front of him and put that lap car between him and the 85 machine. Otherwise, they could start using his rear bumper as a support for their front end.
It's not the best idea to do that if you happen to not have a front end at all, in the case of Gil Gog, which is why Gil Gog might consider maybe not going for a couple of bump and runs if he happens to be on the back foot of this thing. These guys battling, though, he is allowing Wayne Gross to start to close in with Randy Drumheller just behind him.
They blocked each other.
No! No caution? Really?
No caution. Go, go. Oh, there's the caution. Oh, the 50 spins out afterwards. That is absolutely the funniest I've seen all night.
Really? The caution was for the 50 spinning out? Are you kidding me? Not for the 2 cars sideways in turn 2? iRacing, I'm sorry, that is inexcusable that is not a caution. 2 cars stopped on the racing line, that isn't yellow. Are you kidding me?
That was amazing. But that happened in the IS race last night. But look at who's going to end up here. I was saying that Kenny Powell, the 24 machine, who's got no front end, he may come out of this thing victorious here. Randy Drumheller now takes over the 3rd position as Wayne Grossi takes over 2nd. And where is Clayton Hoffman? Clayton Hoffman, I think he's a lucky dog this time by.
I believe for Hoffman, though I believe he might still have 1 lap left to get. So, oh my goodness. No, I don't know. This could go so many different ways. It looks like Drumheller and Grossi both stayed out, but they are coming in as well this time by.
And now you see why I parked it, Nolan. This is exactly what I've been telling you all race long. I mean, these guys are getting really aggressive and impatient, and they're driving not like typical. I mean, this is not typical of this group of drivers. This group of drivers has got tremendous talent. And for this race to look like this, it's not showing any of their abilities. It looks like the Brian Johnson and the 4 machine, did he pit one last time for some tires and going to run out in the last, what do we have, 58 laps, 59 laps left? Did he pit for tires?
Oh, let's see. Who are you wanting to know if they pit for tires? Drumheller?
Brian Johnson. He was in the lead of this thing, and now he's back into 3rd.
Yeah, well, he is still up there in 1st place from what I'm seeing on my timing sheets. He did come on down. He did pit for tires. 15-second stop.
Oh, yeah, he did come. It didn't cycle through yet, so he is still on the lead here, and it looks like all those must be lap cars we have in front of us here. They're trying to get back on the lead lap. That's what it is. Somehow, some way, Jeff Shutt, Gil Gawk are still up here in 2nd and 3rd. Amazingly, I don't know how that happened. Weren't they just involved in that sideways wreck with Greg Wyszynski?
They were. They were the ones that should have brought it out, but didn't. iRacing. I digress, though.
Well, it's not over, because what happened the last 3 restarts we had? We had a melee of disaster here, and I don't think we're going to have anything different this restart. Time's about to tell us. I expect Brian Johnson, he's already got these guys knowing that they can, he's going to jump it early, so I expect him to probably jump it again early just to get in front of him, because he knows these guys are wrecking like fools. Let's see what happens here.
Johnson's on the loud pedal. We're back underway. Coming to 50 laps to go here in just about 7 laps time. Already the top 3 single file out. Wyszynski and Craig Johnson side by side. Drumheller, Kenny Powell side by side behind them. Chris and Wayne just behind these guys as well. Now single file it out. Trey Johnson gets a bit loose, but is able to successfully finally manage to clear. Single file now. Definitely a much better restart than we've been having for the previous 5 or 6 restarts.
Now, I think these drivers are at the point right now they're thinking, come on, let's just get these 60-plus laps left out of done, and then let's stop wrecking. Where we finish is where we finish.
Sometimes you just got to take what you can get, and I think that's what a lot of these drivers are at right now. They're realizing they're not going to get anywhere by continuing to just, run out there and be so aggressive when there's still so much time left where they can make these things work. You got to take it easy on these restarts, so that way, if you make a mistake, you don't find yourself dropping 6 spots in the process.
Nolan, I think our points leader, Clayton Hoffman, has got engine damage. Because he's not running, he's running about 120 laps or 120 miles an hour on the front stretch compared to the 130, 140 that the leader's running. So he must have engine damage.
That's not a big surprise to me. He did have a massive hit. I believe it was into the turn 3 wall earlier today. And I was mentioning earlier, I think that might just be the end of his competition for today. And I think that is exactly going to be the case. He just doesn't have the power to keep up with these guys on the straights.
And that's got to be disappointing for him. I mean, he had such a dominating car earlier on in this race. What happens when you get into that? And this is, I don't know if it's such a dirty air track, but I have noticed that when you get behind drivers, you do have quite a bit of a momentum drag on you, so you can't really get on them. As you watch now, boy, Brian is just dominating this thing. He's way up there. He's leaving them behind. Looks like the 2 car is trying to battle for the 3rd position here, and he's trying his best not to give him a bumper, but he may just have to do that.
It's been fascinating, isn't it? Because we actually kind of saw the tables flip where it was Clayton Hoffman that was running away with it, and Brian Johnson was the one that was really struggling back here with all of these guys. It really is a complete flip of the table for what we've seen so far in the race. I mean, Brian Johnson now has got half a straightaway on the rest of the field. Josh Schaffner is just trying to fend off everybody else behind for second.
Yeah, I know we said that damage doesn't really hurt you here at Martinsville, but I think we're being proven wrong. These guys have got all these cars that have damage on them, and I think it's starting to show. I don't know how much damage Brian's got, but these guys are really starting to show they're struggling with these cars on the handling side.
I think another part of why we might be seeing these mistakes come more and more frequently here, Al, is fatigue. Martinsville is, well, it's frankly one of the most tiring tracks to drive in the whole of the service. There's a lot of arm work that goes into it, and when you have to race this track for, hour and a half, 2 hours even, it really takes a toll really quickly on these guys. And I think that's why we're seeing these guys starting to get a bit more mistake prone as well. They're tired. They want this to be over with. They're just trying to race as hard as they can, as fast as they can, to try to make sure that this can get over as soon as possible. Which thankfully for the guys that are feeling tired, will be soon, as we're under 50 laps to go.
Yeah, we're watching a battle for, I believe it's 4th here. Greg Wyszynski in that 2 machine. He's been pretty aggressive. And the more these guys get fatigued, like you said, the more they get impatient. Well, let's watch 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here and see if there's going to be any mistakes here. Amazing to see that 83 machine. It's got damage every fender, and he's running up there in 5th position, and he's holding off the 44 machine.
They're off to that 44 machine nicely, but Craig Johnson is going to have to get by Greg Wyszynski. So the way this is going, once you get within the final 10 laps or so, it's going to be crunch time for a lot of these guys. Speaking of which, Gil Gawk up the inside.
Oh, and he bumps him. Side bumps him. That was a perfect opportunity for the 2 car to follow him through to take that position. So he's going to have to try to get past him this time. And he's in there. Is he going to get the speed off the corner? Not yet, but he might get him on this corner here. And the 83 machine needs to stay with that 2 machine to get by.
Wachinski still working at Schaffner. This is, it's going to be tight between the two of these guys. Look at Wachinski pinching Schaffner up to that outside wall, just not letting Schaffner get the turn that he needs at all. Oh, no!
And Craig Johnson just sends it and takes him around.
Good grief. That was a bit silly there.
That might have been one of them incidences where we spoke of earlier. His brakes might be not there anymore. You got to remember, there's only so much these brakes can take. I mean, we've been racing, 200 laps here, and everybody's been braking. I mean, we're 210 laps, and they're heavy on those brakes. That 83 machine might have very little, no brakes left. Well, let's take one more commercial break here, and let's give a shout out to ButtKicker. We keep missing the opportunity to speak to them. And while I was running my race earlier, I was running my ButtKicker, and that thing was just going crazy. I had a great massage going on with everybody wrecking. So if you haven't got a ButtKicker, go to ButtKicker.com and check it out. That's a setup that you need to have if you're doing any kind of simulation racing, or if you have a theater that you want to feel the full effects of. A ButtKicker system is the way to go.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at TheButtKicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Well, Nolan, we're going to have roughly about 38 laps left of this thing when we go back to green. Can we finish it green?
It's a bit of an interesting one, isn't it? Because I have a feeling like we might be seeing our first green-white checkered in a very long time here in this race. If there's ever a track where you're going to get a green-white checkered, it's going to be Martinsville. Based on how the pre-caution has gone in the second half of this race, would not surprise me.
Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to tell you, we're going to see a Johnson & Johnson first and second here. I think that Chris Johnson, his car doesn't have as much damage. He doesn't have a rear bumper, but he doesn't have as much damage as the cars in front of him. And he's in fifth right now. So he just has to, he's going to start on that inside line, and he should be able to easily take third position away on this restart. So I can imagine that we're going to see the 48 machine up there battling with his brother, Brian Johnson.
I believe we're going to get that 1 to green signal now. In fact, we do. Gil Gawk, a driver who has no front end, is right up there with Brian Johnson. And honestly, if Brian Johnson makes a mistake, Gil Gawk, a car with no front end, could very well come through to win this race with how this has gone so far.
Well, that 25 machine is up here as well, Jeff Shutt, and he has very little damage as well. Unfortunately, they're starting on the outside. Let's see how this restart goes. They bunch it up together here. If Chris Johnson can stay on the bumper of the 2 machine, they're going to be first, second, and third. There he goes, and they're getting a good restart. And there goes Chris. He already took fourth away. And here comes the 25 to the inside. And just as I predicted it, we've got Chris Johnson up in the 48 machine, up in the third. And now he's got to get around his Craig Wachinski, and he will take second. Oh, the 85 machine, Gil, I think he tried to spin Chris. Oh, there's going to be another caution here, and it's going to involve that 85 machine.
Oh, boy. Well, Gawk dropped it like a stone on that restart, so I guess take away my vote. Oh my gosh. Just about took out Josh Schaffner as he's trying to get by. Schaffner also running the classic discount modified scheme. Oh, Jonathan, look out. Shoved by Drumhill into the corner. He's coming for a cup. Now Schaffner's around.
There he goes.
Oh. This is getting ridiculous, guys.
All right. No one, I had told you earlier, it's going to be Brian Johnson and Chris Johnson. Well, where does Chris Johnson start this when we go back to green? He's going to start right behind his brother. And that inside line, as we watch this whole race, it has been the inside line, the domination. So now Greg Wyszynski's going to start on the high side. We're going to have Brian Johnson and Chris Johnson nose to tail here. I do believe they're going to get out there in front of this field and they're going to walk away. We're going to have a COVID shot here, Johnson and Johnson. I bet you when we have some interviews going on, it's going to be the Johnson and Johnson brothers. And I'm going to say Jeff Shutt is probably going to be the third place.
Wow. I mean, I'm at a loss. We're coming to 30 laps to go. It has been a pretty long one. Remaining time in this race of 1 hour and 21 minutes on the clock. We're obviously going to finish this well before then. But that means that we've been running this race already for well over an hour and a half. Actually, probably, just about an hour and 40 minutes now. The longest race so far all season. What was that from Greg Wyszynski, who just held up the field big time and nearly caused Chris Johnson and Jeff Shutt to slam into each other?
I have not got no idea. The tensions are rising here. But let's go on another scenario, Nolan. What do you think would happen if we had all the Johnsons on the podium? I mean, wouldn't that be something to have Craig Johnson, Brian Johnson, and Chris Johnson, all the Johnsons in an interview at one time? We've got some of these drivers in here with race chatter talking about how bad their cars are looking. They ain't got to tell us. We're up here watching it.
I'm at a loss. I mean, I know I'm not saying a whole lot right now, but I'm just at a loss for word. I mean, this race was going so great at first, but it's kind of taken a bit of a turn in the last 100 laps or so, which is a big shame because this race was going absolutely, fantastic. And unfortunately, it's more turned into a race of attrition. Martinsville races, they have a tendency on iRacing to do that to you.
Well, this is survival of the fittest is what this is. And you either finish it out like this and see the best you can do, or you do like I do and just park it and get frustrated with it because it's just not going to get any better. So, unfortunately, I was right by parking it. This has gotten extremely bad. This is in no way, shape, or form. This is to show you what these drivers are capable of doing. This is a much better class of drivers than what's being shown here tonight. And I'm kind of disappointed on the quality of driving that we have being shown to everybody tonight, because this is not these drivers. These are very professional drivers. We're very patient, and they pick and choose their passing points appropriately. And tonight, we're not exhibiting that. I'm kind of ashamed to see what this is all about right now.
A race of attrition. Who will come out on top? Brian Johnson is going to be the driver who will be taking them around to the restart zone. At this point, only about 6. Oh, wow! Oh, hang on to it, Chris.
I guess wrong there, didn't I?
Didn't even make it to the start-finish line that time around. Great job on Chris to keep that up.
Oh, look at the 83 machine. It just keeps plowing the rear end of the 25.
What in the world is going on? I mean, this is something else.
I have no idea what the 83 was doing. He's just tearing up his front end. Keeps on plowing into the 25 car in front of him.
Well, did something happen to the two of those guys earlier in the race? Because it might have just been an overflow of tempers there.
Yeah, but again, that's not the exhibit that we show from these drivers. It's not something that we see from them. I mean, these guys are professionals. I mean, this isn't their first rodeo, and this is definitely not their first Martinsville race. So maybe everybody's just kind of frustrated and they just want this thing over, and they're just figuring, I'm going to throw caution to the wind, and whatever happens, happens. I don't know what's going on here. It looks like my prediction was so wrong. It's unreal.
Well, With that in mind, how many more cautions, Al, are you reckoning we're going to get before the end of this one? I'm willing to bet a good three more cautions. Yeah,
we got 2 left in us. We might have 3, but I guarantee you we've got 2 left in us at least. These guys are getting more aggressive and more frustrated. They're definitely going to start wrecking.
But is one of them a green-white checker, though? That's the big question.
Oh, I can pretty much say it's going to guarantee to be a green-white checker.
I think we can both agree on that one here. I mean, this has been messy, I think, is the appropriate word to put it.
Well, here's how we're going to line up. We're going to line up Brian Johnson on the inside, Jeff Shutt on the inside, and Josh Schaffner on the inside. When you put that 50 car anywhere on the inside, wanting to aggressively kit on a podium, there's going to be another caution.
Laps to green, I believe it as the call right now. Let's take one more break before we come back with you with the final rounds and the final sprints here in this race at Martinsville.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Well, Nolan, apparently, when Chris Johnson... Oh, we got the restart going on here. Let's see how Greg Wyszynski handles Brian Johnson's restart here. It's going to be a go. And there they are. Greg Wyszynski is laid on the gas, and the 50 is on the inside, and he's going to take the 4 away. Oh, Greg Wyszynski. Oh, my God. Here we go. No caution, no caution. Maybe a caution. Who knows? No. He gets the Greg under control. Good job. That 85 machine of Gil Gawk.
Oh, my gosh. What has this race...
Craig Johnson just sent it in there. And we watched the 50. He's on the tail end of Greg Wyszynski. He's going to send it in there because he wants a podium. That Josh Schaffner is on a mission. But so is the 83 machine. He is wanting to get up here, and he's wanting a podium position as well.
The top 5 broken away as a result of all that. 6th place is running on their lonesome. 7th on back are all in the big train as well. We did make it through clear, though, so 20 laps to go. Now the question is, how long does this last? Does it last the 20 laps we need to get this through to the end of this one?
I'm watching the 83 machine. I have not seen anybody that aggressively sends it into the corners as he's doing it and making it stick. He must have some Brazilian tires underneath that hot rod because I don't see how in the world he is sending it in that much. It's probably going to show us here in about 5 laps. He's going to spin that thing because he's just catching right up to the bumper of that 50 machine, and he backs it off. It's absolutely crazy. These guys are just getting more and more impatient. And the one that's loving all this is our leader, that 4 car, Brian Johnson.
And one of the closest battles on the track is between 3rd and 4th place as Josh Schaffner is starting to really reel in Greg Wyszynski. Coming to 15 laps to go here. I have a feeling if Brian Johnson doesn't make a mistake, he'll be able to come away with this one easily. Jeff Shutt will be in 2nd. Again, at the rate they're going, if there isn't any further cautions and if they don't make any mistakes, which is a very big if at this point. The real question is going to be, will Wyszynski be able to fend off Josh Schaffner for 3rd, or will Schaffner start to get aggressive here in these final 14 laps and potentially have a go at him for the positions?
I don't know. We're going to see a battle here between Greg Wyszynski and Schaffner. I guarantee you that, because watching this race all night long, Josh Schaffner has not been a patient driver. If he can get to the bumper of Greg Wyszynski, he's going to move him.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be crucial here with these drivers. It is very much crunch time. You need to know when to make these moves and how you want to make these moves. What these guys got to do now is start sizing up their opponents for the runs to come. The battle's on, by the way, for 7th and 6th. Drumheller and Kenny Powell are side by side with Powell on the inside, Drumheller up high. They're battling for the 6th place right now, and it's a drag race at the moment down the front straightaway.
Well, let's not take away the fact that Jeff Shutt is only a second behind Brian Johnson. It's going to take one mistake, one slip up from Brian Johnson, and Jeff Shutt in that 25 machine would take the lead. And he's actually closing in on the 4 car of Brian Johnson. He's less than a second now.
Gaps are continuing to close. It's a very critical aspect right now. These guys, again, they really have to consider the smallest of mistakes could spell the end of your race as it sits right now. 10 laps remaining. Do these guys make it back to the white flag? Do we have one more caution? It's anybody's guess at this point.
Well, we're closing in, less than 10, so that means the 50 car is going to get more aggressive on this 2 machine as we watch this battle. And these guys this is a podium position. This is a position to where you get to talk to us up here in the booth. So these guys are aggressively trying to get this to happen. And Greg Wyszynski, this could be his 2nd week in a row to be able to interview up here with us. So he's trying to hold that position. But if he drives from that rearview mirror, he's going to mess up and give that 3rd place position to Josh Shaw.
Every corner counts, and the last thing he needs at the moment is to run wide or have that back end brake loose. Those are the 2 really critical things here that he needs to make sure never happen. He's also got to keep an eye on his mirror, though, because Schaffner, I can almost guarantee you, will try a massive send potentially in these last 5 laps.
Oh, he's closing in. Greg Wyszynski is holding his lines there and not letting him intimidate him at all. Hoping and praying that the 50 is back there using up his material. And if he is, he's going to start pushing up mid-corner. The two-tail sign here is if he starts to push up, there it is, he's pushing up. So he is using his equipment up, trying to get in front of that number 2, and that's exactly what Greg Wyszynski wants to see.
Exactly what Wyszynski wants to see indeed. So far, everybody is running single file. We are 5 laps remaining now for a good portion of everybody so far on the racing surface. Coming to 4 laps to go this time by, Brian Johnson is continuing to extend his lead. 1.1 seconds last time by at the line. Will it be either greater this time by at the line? The gap, 1.144. So only 3,000th of a second faster than shut that last time by, but still an almost insurmountable gap for the 25 car.
And the battle between Greg Wyszynski and Josh Schaffner is closing in here quite a bit. And all Greg has to do is keep him behind him for an additional 3 laps. If he can keep him back there for 3 laps, it doesn't look impossible, but you're watching the 50 car is pushing it in there even more than he has before. So he is trying his best to get up to him.
That's going to be the big ticket question, and I don't think the answer is going to be yes. The battle's still going on between Kenny Powell and Randy Drumheller as well, with coming to 2 laps to go here. So that battle could very well be the one that causes a caution if either of those drivers makes a mistake as well. For Brian Johnson, though, you just got to hope this stays green for just about 1 more straightaway here. Also goes to the inside. That is it. White flag is out. There will not be a green white checkered. It is over this time by. We have made it the 20 laps needed. So for Brian Johnson, all he's got to do now is handle this last 1/4 of a mile. And if he can get this one right without any mistakes, it will be clean sailing for him. Now, Johnson on the final corner. He will take victory here at Martinsville. Brian Johnson comes on top of the attrition and is going to get the victory he needs. Powell sideways in turn 4. Drumheller slides to the track. Here comes Craig Johnson trying to get position on both of them. 3 wide to the line. The battle for 6. Then Craig Johnson goes 2 for 2 because 2 drivers behind him made the same mistake for the position.
And to finish off this race, we have Brian Johnson in the 4 machine has won for, I believe, his first time in the season here. Jeff Shutt coming 2nd. Greg Wyszynski's 3rd. 4th will be Josh Schaffner. 5th is Craig Johnson. 6th is Gil Goff. 7th, Kenny Powell. 8th, Randy Drumheller. 9th, Wayne Grossi. 10th, Clayton Hoffman. 11th, Paul Olson. 12th, Chris Johnson. And I round out the last 13 drivers, 140 laps down.
Race is complete as we watch Brian Johnson burn it down in front of the grandstands. Let's take another step away. We'll be right back with the post-race show after this.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Welcome back to the post-race show here at Martinsville Speedway. It was a very long race, but a very fun race as well for a full 250 laps. At the end of the day, no green white checkers required. Al, goodness gracious. What a ride. What a roller coaster we've been on throughout the day.
Yeah, this is a typical Martinsville. I mean, tempers have flare, and the races start to show it. I mean, we've exactly seen what we predicted was going to happen, and it happened. I mean, surprisingly, it didn't have the finish that we thought it was going to be. I mean, earlier on watching this race, but it was a tremendous race after all. So let's see if we can get a hold of third place and the number 2 driver, Greg Wachinski.
I'm here.
Greg Wachinski in the number 2 car here, buddy. Congratulations on that third place finish. We thought you were going to be up here in second or possibly even win this thing tonight. Give us your summary of the whole race here.
Yeah, seemed like the first half of the race was really fun. You know, a lot of green flag laps there, and but then it started getting ugly. Too many cautions there. Just it's not fun when it's like that.
That's exactly why I parked it. It looked like there was some points in the race where drivers were braking a lot sooner than they normally will be, and that caused a lot of these cautions. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a different style for this track. Some people drive it in deep, some people don't. So you just have to kind of navigate through that the whole race.
Yeah, it makes it very frustrating if you got drivers behind you. You don't know if they're going to come in and plow into you or what's going to go on. But you seem to be able to manage this race really well and come home with the third place. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to take it easy the whole race. Congratulations to Jeff and Brian. Brian ran a great race. It's a shame what happened to Clayton because I'm sure he would have been up there racing for the win.
Yeah, really not certain what happened to Clayton. It looked like he just took a sharp right. I don't know if he had some mechanical issues or what. The steering wheel come off or something happened to him. But nonetheless, we're talking about Greg Wachinski in the third position. Give me some shout-outs, buddy, to some of your sponsors and maybe some family members.
Of course, thanks to you guys at ISCA, ButtKicker, you and Nolan. You guys do a great job on the broadcast. G&G Racing, all the guys there. Kenny Powell, who puts all this on.
You got no family members that are watching us tonight, Greg?
A friend of mine that was watching earlier, but he probably went to bed an hour ago.
I got you. Well, unfortunately, he missed a great race. You managed to come home with a third position by being patient. Congratulations on your third place finish there, Greg. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get a chance to talk to Jeff Shutt again here. He is having radio issues, but he assured me that if he gets another podium position, he will not fail me for the third time. So congratulations to the 25 machine of the driver, Jeff Shutt, on his second place finish. And with that in mind, Nolan, let's go ahead and let's try to get contact with the winner.
So we're going to try to kick things on over here to Brian Johnson. And Brian, this is Nolan Redpool up here in the booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
Awesome. So, Brian, it was, I think, an interesting race is, I think, the best term we could probably use for this one. We yourself didn't expect you to be here up at the front of this one. You started at the 10th position. managed to fight through all the attrition, though, and eventually beat this track into the ground and put it in its place to come out on the top and win the dang thing. Walk us through this one with you.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Typical Martinsville. You really want to qualify good here, but yeah, our qualifying efforts was very poor, so we started in the rear. We eventually worked our way through, kept our car clean for the most part, but it was tough. You know, I hate it for Clayton. I feel like our cars were pretty evenly matched, but he is fast. He had a fast car, but he got taken out too soon. So that's but congrats to Jeff, Craig. They deserved it. You know, I was getting worried there towards the end with all the cautions. You know, it started out really good at first. Had a couple good long green flag runs there, and then you know, caution breeds cautions here. So you know how it goes.
I mean, it was certainly a good race for you, and I think I want to kind of focus more on the first half of the race because that's where we saw Hoffman was really running the way with it, but you yourself managed to work your way up through the grid pretty quickly. So, all things considered, did you expect to see yourself finishing up here in the top position even after just the first half of the race there?
I felt like I had a top 5 car. I didn't expect to win. I knew Clayton had a car to beat. He's been super fast all week. And I knew I was going to be chasing him towards the end. So it worked out in our favor. You know, I'm happy. I'll take it. A win's a win. But I hate to see that to Clayton. You know, I think if it would have played out, if he would have survived that race, it would have been a good battle there.
Forward to the next one because we're not quite done with the short tracks yet. The next one up is Richmond, another short track, but a quarter mile longer. It is 3/4 of a mile, and it drives so much differently as well. So what are your thoughts going into Richmond? Do you reckon you could come on through there and be able to come out with another strong performance and maybe yet another podium?
Oh man, I wish. I love Richmond. Unfortunately, we're going on vacation next week, so I won't be here. But I hate it. It's one of my favorite tracks.
Dang shame that we won't be able to see you here next week. Well, hopefully we'll be able to catch up to you later on down the road, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you some more as well in future races. Before I let you go here, anybody that you'd like to shout out for us?
Yeah, just want to thank Southern Spiral Pipe that's on the car this week. ButtKicker, want to thank Kenny, Al, and you, Nolan, putting on the show. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks.
And thank you for joining us, Mr. Brian Johnson. Congratulations on your win here at Martinsville.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Nolan, that's going to finish us out here at Martinsville. And I'll be glad to leave this track behind us for another couple, probably about 6 months, and say goodbye here. I can't wait to come back next week to Richmond. I may run Richmond next week. I don't know. I'll let you know. But until then, Nolan, you have a great night, buddy, and we will talk to you next week. Round us out and take us out of here.